We're analyzing brand new evidence in the Seminole Heights murders, and some of the pictures left us with more questions than answers. We'll have that for you next on Nightside.
The countdown is on for President Trump's trip to Tampa. We've got your complete guide of what to expect.
The school guardians are graduating. Meet the ordinary people who want to protect your kids. First, the state dropped brand new evidence in the Seminole Heights murder cases. I'm Carolina Leid.
And I'm Alex Miranda. One of those pieces of evidence is a gun police say was used in the killings. Nightside Sarah Rosario looked through hundreds of pages of documents.
So Sarah, what stood out the most here?
Well, Catalina and Alex, some of these things are so graphic, these pictures, that we would never show them on TV. But let's point out some of these main things that stand out. And the first big thing is the gun that you all were just mentioning, which police believe is the same one used in all 4 murders. That .40 caliber Glock is sitting here in a McDonald's bag that you see. And this is the same bag that police say Howell Trey Donaldson III handed over to his boss at the Ybor City McDonald's where he worked before telling her that he planned on getting out of town. So speaking about this McDonald's, among the hundreds of pictures released, these are just a couple of them. They show Donaldson, seen here, in his McDonald's uniform. Something else I found very interesting is this. Take a look at this cryptic letter that was taken into evidence. Investigators say that this was found near the scene of the 4th murder. Now, we don't know who wrote it, but it appears to be religious based with one prevailing question. Let's take a look at that question here. It says, "What will you say when God asks you why?" That letter also contains some of the 10 commandments here. It also has several other religious scriptures. We're also seeing pictures of Donaldson's tattoos, like this one right here. You can see here, again, showing a little bit of how he may be religious. A picture of Jesus with a crown of thorns. You can see Jesus crying a little bit of blood here. Lastly, investigators found a plane ticket from Tampa to New Jersey that Donaldson purchased just days before his arrest. Last week, doctors found that Donaldson is competent to stand trial. If he's found guilty, he could face the death penalty. His next court date is set for October 30th. Sarah Rosario, 10 News.
In just over 18 hours, President Trump will make his first public visit to Tampa since taking office. Trump is here to promote his own 2020 re-election bid and to throw his support behind several Republicans running in key races. Air Force One will touch down at Tampa International Airport around 5:30. The president will then head to Tampa Bay Technical High School. There, he'll host a roundtable discussion and sign a new bill that will provide government grants for technical education. After Tampa Bay Tech, President Trump will head to the Florida State Fairgrounds for a campaign rally. It's at the Expo Hall. Doors open at 4 o'clock. The event starts at 7. Throughout the day, President Trump will be supporting Governor Rick Scott in his bid for Senate. Representative Matt Gaetz, who's up for re-election in Congress, and Ron DeSantis, who's running for governor. The president's visit is likely going to cause a traffic nightmare. Again, he's expected to land around 5:30, so he'll be traveling during rush hour. We don't know his exact route, but expect to see congestion on 275, I-4, and Orient Road near the fairgrounds. So you can find everything that you need to know about the president's visit on the 10 News app. We will have coverage throughout the day online, on social media, and right here on 10 News.
Tonight, some school guards and guardians across the Bay Area went through one last step before they can protect our children: graduation. Security programs like those all came from the Parkland school shooting aftermath and the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Safety Act. 17 people died on Valentine's Day. Broward deputies say former student Nicholas Cruz went on a shooting rampage. Nightside's Grady Tremble was in Lakeland as Polk school guardians picked up their certificates. He found out the graduates are a very diverse group of people.
Ronnie Gent.
At 6'3", 280 pounds, this newly graduated guardian looks like he could be an NFL fullback. That's because he was.
And it happens all across the country. Like when football's over, it's like, what's next?
What's next for Lakeland native Ronnie Gent required hours of grueling training. This time off the football field. Of the roughly 600 people who applied to be a Polk County school guardian, only 87 made the cut.
It's just like in my football days, you know, you got to be up for the challenge, and you want to go through and make it through, and that's what happened.
Unlike Gent, about half of the Guardians are former law enforcement or military. Although not technically a law enforcement officer, Guardian Jocelyn Rodriguez hopes it launches her career.
And children are our future, and at the end of the day, we need to protect our kids.
Sheriff Grady Judd helped create the program. School districts across the state will soon implement it.
These folks are well trained, they're special people, and they're willing to give up their life to protect your child.
It is my great honor to introduce to you Mr. Andrew Pollock.
Andrew Pollock was also at the ceremony. Since losing his daughter Meadow in the Parkland shooting, he's made it his mission to improve safety in schools.
But this means so much to me that these kids are going to be safer, and my daughter just didn't die in vain, and we made a difference.
Jocelyn Rodriguez.
Pollock and these Guardians hope they never need their training, but they say they're ready to use it if they do. In Lakeland, Grady Trimble, 10 News.
All summer long, we've talked about guardians, school resource officers, and more. And Catalina, you've looked into all of these for us. A lot of people want to know, what is the difference?
Well, Alex, there's really 3 different types of security personnel that you might see on any given school property. There are school resource officers, which are actually law enforcement officers with local agencies. There are school security guards who are hired by the school district, and they generally have less training than law enforcement officers. And there are what Grady just showed us, guardians. They are existing school district employees. We're talking teachers, janitors, administrators who have gone through the proper training and certification and who are armed on school grounds. Remember, school starts next Friday for Hillsborough County. All other districts start on Monday, August 13th.
10 Investigates is staying on top of the SunPass scandal, now on day 60. Tonight, Senator Bill Nelson says if the state isn't going to come down on the company responsible for SunPass disruptions, they'll get the Federal Trade Commission to do it. Remember, this all started when a system upgrade led to unprocessed tolls. Senator Nelson said all of this while on the campaign trail. He's trying to keep his Senate seat. But if you've looked at your SunPass account lately, you know this problem is affecting Floridians from all political persuasions.
If the state of Florida is not going to protect the consumer, then I'm going to try to. As a matter of fact, I want to thank Channel 10 because you all have been Johnny on the spot to get this out into the public domain.
Afterwards, Governor Rick Scott's campaign said they promised accountability. They also criticized Nelson for campaigning instead of worrying about a looming deadline for the National Flood Insurance Program.
And we are also keeping an eye on tonight's other big stories for you. Fire crews in Northern California say the deadly car fire is still growing, but its threat to nearby towns is diminishing. The fire broke out a week ago and has killed 6 people. An area the size of Denver has been destroyed, including hundreds of homes and entire neighborhoods.
CBS is holding off on taking action against its chairman and CEO, at least for now. The company says it will hire outside counsel to investigate sexual harassment claims against Les Moonves. 6 women have accused Moonves of inappropriate behavior dating back to the 1980s.
Threatening a government shutdown. President Trump wants immigration reform and says he would have no problem shutting down the federal government if Congress doesn't act. Not only does the president want funding for a border wall, he wants to reform legal immigration.
The family that lost 9 relatives when a duck boat sank in a Missouri lake is now suing the boat's owner and operators for $100 million. The suit accuses the company of ignoring bad weather warnings and knowing design flaws made the boat susceptible to sinking. The legal team that filed the lawsuit has litigated previous wrongful death cases involving duck boats.
We felt that as parents that we needed to tell the story of who Trayvon truly was.
A new documentary series tracks the extended fallout of the killing of Trayvon Martin. He's the unarmed teen who was shot and killed by George Zimmerman while he was walking in his Sanford neighborhood. The series connects Trayvon's death to the Black Lives Matter movement and opposition to it. It premieres on the Paramount Network and BET tonight. This This story has been trending all over social media today. The cast of the upcoming third volume of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise is calling for director James Gunn to be reinstated.
Yeah, Disney actually let him go 10 days ago after old tweets of his resurfaced in which he joked on several occasions about rape and pedophilia. Despite that, star Chris Pratt posted an open letter today on Instagram signed by several of the other cast members asking for Gunn to get his job back. We talked about this on Facebook Live tonight. Catherine, you said outright no. It's a bad example to set for our children. Brenda, you added, if you have to apologize for making inappropriate comments, then obviously they should not have been made in the first place. Kelly, you have a bone to pick with the entire industry itself, saying everything is so double standard with Hollywood and the left. People need to wake up to see what's happening around us. But Suzanne, you showed a little sympathy here. You said he did this years ago. Drop it. Well, Pratt and the rest of the cast have the support of many of their fans as well. A Change.org petition asking for Gunn to be reinstated already has more than 340,000 signatures.
A shark stolen from an aquarium, and the suspected thieves used a stroller to whisk the fish away. Alex, how does anyone manage to steal a shark from an aquarium?
It is actually something I have never thought of before in my entire life. And we followed this crazy story out of San Antonio all night. First, the good news. Just an hour ago, the aquarium and law enforcement managed to find the shark and get it back into its tank.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I'll show you the reunion later. Now, though, let me explain what happened here. Here's surveillance video from the San Antonio Aquarium. Over the weekend, someone managed to reach into the tank and grab a shark. Police say it was then covered in a blanket and concealed in a stroller.
Oh, there's a stroller there.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
You saw this guy walk straight past a crowd with the shark in his hands. Now, police think these are the man's accomplices. You can see a stroller in the bottom left corner of your screen. Now, tonight, San Antonio authorities managed to find that shark and bring it home, and our sister station was at the aquarium for the big moment. Officers say they managed to track down the suspect's vehicle to his house, and that's how they found the shark. They say the suspect seemed to know what he was doing and that this shark is in good health.
I think even the shark was like, what are you doing?
Dude, come
What's
on,
wrong
man.
with you? Really?
Come on, man.
I'm happy here. This is my home. Jeez. Can't get away with anything.
So they
Surveillance
parked their truck in an area that they weren't supposed to be parking, so they'd already kind of tipped people off. Like the people working there were like, what's going on? Why are you parked here? And then they walked out and just ignored the people as they were like kind of following them. So
I don't understand how the conversation first happened. Like, we're going to take this shark.
none of them were holding a can of beer. I was looking for that.
Okay.
I was like, hold my beer. I'm going to get a shark.
Yeah, that's normally how these things start.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
don't think that happened in this case. I don't know, though. 89 degrees for a high temperature for today, guys. That happened earlier in the day. If you guys were out this afternoon, anytime after about 1:30, 2:30, we were in the 70s and 80s for temperatures throughout the afternoon. And it's because we saw quite a bit of rain. Now, not everybody saw rain, and most of us are seeing drying conditions now as the rain that we have seen is starting to kind of weaken. There's a little bit of light showers through northern Hillsborough. That'll move up towards Wesley Chapel, especially Lando Lakes. Going to get a sprinkle or two out of it here in the next 15 minutes. But bigger picture shows that you can see some gaps in here where we did not see rainfall today. Maybe a sprinkle or two, but some spots, I mean, we saw almost 3 inches. In fact, some areas more than that in eastern Sarasota, almost 4 inches just north of Arcadia. And you can see Hernando and Citrus County. There's some spots there that saw over 2 inches of rainfall today. So, yeah, there was some rain around. It's falling apart now, but keep in mind, we're in the mid to upper 70s here. The water is about 10 degrees warmer at this point, so there's more lift out here. I do expect some showers and storms to continue offshore overnight tonight, but most of it here is going to die down. So I think we're going to be looking pretty good tonight. 77 degrees right now. Winds out of the southeast at about 3 miles per hour, and that's the change in the pattern that we were talking about last week that's kind of showed up now. Most of us in the mid-70s. I mean, 73 to about 77 degrees. St. Pete's our warm spot at 78 right now. And some of the beaches will be about that warm as well, too. Treasure Island right now reporting 78. Now, tonight we'll go down to the mid-70s. It's right where we are now, so we're not really going anywhere temperature-wise. We'll stay right about where we are. I had that 40% chance for rain. That's dwindling. It's down to about 20% now, especially after midnight. This is tomorrow morning at 7:15. You can see light southeasterly winds, but dry, and still some clouds around tomorrow. We'll see some sunshine, but still partly cloudy. And then here we go, lunchtime, 12:30, 1:30. We pop up the storms along the coast. They drift northward and slowly work their way inland. That's 5 o'clock. And so tomorrow, that's a good 50% chance for showers and thunderstorms. And then we'll do it all over again as we get into Wednesday, although I think we're going to start to see eventually the East Coast sea breeze come over late in the afternoon. 88 for your Tuesday, 50% chance for rain. Sun's up at 6:52. Southeast winds will turn to the southwest. Boating will go south winds 10 knots, 1 to 2 foot seas, a light chop on the bay, but scattered storms, especially in the morning right along the coast, the bay, mid to late morning. As we get into the afternoon, a lot of it will start to work its way inland. Allergy forecast does creep up a little bit as we get into Thursday and Friday, and add some sagebrush into the mix along with grass and weeds. It's been real dry out west. You know all about the fires. Most of this right in here is fire smoke. It's smoke from those wildfires in Northern California up even into Oregon as well too. It's just amazing what's going on out there. And on the East Coast, they're turning the faucet back on. So there's going to be some heavy rainfall yet again, especially this time, I think, Florida Panhandle, parts of Mississippi, Alabama, especially Alabama, Georgia, and into the Carolinas. But the folks in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast are going to get more rain, so there may be some travel issues if you're heading that direction. For us, it's back to typical, 50 to 60% each afternoon, highs up near 90. And look at that. We cut the rain chance down just a little bit for the weekend. All right, don't forget you can catch our forecast on the radio. 105.5 The Dove, 107.3 The Eagle, Magic 94.9, and Hitland 106.9 FM.
Lawmakers want answers from the TSA about a secret and controversial surveillance program targeting airline passengers. It's called Quiet Skies. It was created in 2010 and just expanded this past March. The program, first reported on by the Boston Globe, identifies travelers, including American citizens, that could pose a threat, but may not have been accused of a crime or are not on the no-fly list. Undercover air marshals follow those passengers at an airport or on a flight, taking note of any suspicious behavior. A former TSA administrator says the whole idea behind the program is to mitigate known and unknown risks. But the air marshal who leaked this information about the program says an air marshal's job is to protect the cockpit and passengers, not to do intelligence work and criminal investigations.
A man redoing his backyard made a really unusual discovery. He found the headstone of a World War II veteran. Now the search is on for his gravesite. This is William Henry Matthews' headstone. The man who found it called St. Pete Police. Officers did a little research and found that the headstone belonged at Gulfport's Lincoln Cemetery. But officers were unable to find where Matthews was buried. With more than 4,000 unmarked graves, it could be any of them. The president of the Lincoln Cemetery Society says they're working with the funeral home and trying to get in touch with any living family members to find out more.
Basically reconstruct their whole family tree so we can see if they moved to that address and maybe that's why the headstone was there, or maybe they had a relative that, was holding it until they got enough money for somebody to place it there.
Matthews died in 1952. His mother, who died 25 years later, is also buried at the same cemetery. So it's likely they have a family plot. Now, if you have any information that could help find the correct gravesite, you can contact the cemetery directly.
Now, from your Suncoast Hyundai dealers, this is 10 Sports.
Looks like you can cross the Yankees off the list of teams gunning for the Rays. Chris Archer, New York acquiring righty Lance Lynn from the Twins tonight. That is now 2 starters, including J. Happ. The Yanks have added in the last 5 days, which makes it less and less likely that they are going to get Arch ahead of tomorrow's MLB trade deadline. Ryan Bass, Justin Granite, hanging out with you. It's a waiting game for Arch as the clock ticks closer to tomorrow's deadline day.
Yes, a day off for the Rays, so that meant Arch was hanging out in his home state of North Carolina. Arch could be packing some bags for a new home tomorrow afternoon around 4 o'clock.
Still a 50-50 shot, though, that they actually trade Archer away. Let's go pro-con here on an Archer deal. You take the con. Why shouldn't they make the move?
This is the most team-friendly contract in all of Major League Baseball, and this is what the Rays are built on. It's market value, right? And he's paid clearly way under that through 2021. Within the budget that the Rays operate, you can't find a better baseball deal. Arch leaves town. The Rays are left with one proven frontline pitcher in Blake Snell, who, oh, by the way, was mentored by Arch, and he would do the same thing for all those young studs coming up the next couple of years. Rays lose a lot by dealing Chris Archer.
Yeah, but there is a pro angle to Archer and making a deal with him. First of all, he is the best pitcher left on the market. And if his value is going to be any higher than it is now, I just can't see that down the road. There is going to be a team that's going to pay up for Chris Archer, so I think that's where the Rays can get some value in return. Also, he's going to be 30 years old soon, and his value is only going to decrease as the innings pile up and he continues to get older into the year. So I see that factoring in for Chris Archer.
He's going to get a bit touchy, a little tense for Arch coming up. If they do deal Chris Archer, it's going to go down as one of the biggest in franchise history at the deadline.
And we've seen quite a lot of deadline day deals, especially with those arms for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Let's go ahead and count down the top 3 deadline deals in franchise history. Beginning at 3, 2016 pitcher Matt Moore sent to the Giants in return. Tampa got their current third baseman Matt Duffy, prospect Lucius Fox. Matt Moore has taken a turn for the worse since leaving Tampa. ERA of 7 this year.
Y'all remember Scott Kazmir, right? Well, he was a deadline day ad by the Rays back in 2004. The Mets gave him to the then Devil Rays for veteran pitcher Victor Sambrano. Kazmir went on to be an all-star for the Rays. A strikeout king, led the AL in Ks in 07. Nasty stuff.
Always loving those 16:9 blurry bars. Biggest blockbuster at the deadline came in 2014. David Price shipped to the Tigers in return. Drew Smyly, Austin Jackson, Nick Franklin, and blue chip prospect, you know this name now, Willie Adames, the shortstop for years to come in Tampa.
And of course, Price eventually signed that monster deal in Boston. Shaky go around in a Red Sox uni, but showing that vintage Rays stuff tonight at Fenway. 8 innings pitched, 5 Ks against the Phils. Price has 18 strikeouts and just 4 runs allowed his last 3 starts. Going to be a late night at the office for Chaim Bloom and Eric Neander, the co-GMs for the Rays. Might not catch a lot of Z's.
All good. You know what? Take one out of the Oakland Athletics playbook. This week in their dugout, just shotgunning Red Bulls. You know, in the 80s, they'd get away with shotgunning beers, but all this social media with the kiddos, you can't get away with that these days.
Bottoms up, guys. Get some sleep. You're going to need it.
Where you can choose from acres and acres of quality pre-owned vehicles, all makes, all...
So it's no secret that things in Los Angeles can get kind of expensive.
For sure.
Especially real estate. But you're going to need really some deep pockets to buy one particular piece of property.
I've never heard of anything like this. This empty lot, on top of a hill, will set you back $1 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B.
Yes, you heard him.
Yeah, the 157-acre plot is nestled at the highest point in 90210. You know that zip code.
Yes, I know that zip code.
Yeah, that's Beverly Hills. To give you some perspective, it's almost twice the size of Disneyland.
So as Alex mentioned, there is nothing on the property right now, but it does come with an amazing view.
Look at that.
You can see from downtown LA all the way to Catalina Island. The LA Times says it's the most expensive listing in the city's history and is being advertised as the best undeveloped plot of land in LA.
I mean, just look at it. How has it not been developed already?
I don't
get
it.
The real estate being so important there. Yeah. There was also a house for sale for $500 million last year that also broke a record. So now we're at $1 billion in LA.
It's hard to wrap your mind around it when you throw those numbers out.
Yeah,
but you know,
someone
will come up with
right?
it. Yeah, we'll take like $100 million off. It'd be nothing. Have a good night.